Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of that, Shane, perfect segue. The Georgia Bulldogs, because this may be that year for them. They go beat Missouri at home 43-6 in a game where Missouri jumped out to a lead. Shane, I was like, uh-oh, is this the week we're finally going to get Georgia to look human, look like, we've seen so many teams go up and down this college football season. I thought maybe they were going to sleepwalk through a Missouri team, not even having their starting quarterback. Nope. 19-point second quarter, 14-point third quarter, and this thing was over long before the game ended. 505 yards of total offense, and I got to issue apology, Shane, because now that of course, I go back. I'll probably change my mind by next week, but now that I've seen JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett play both in the same game, I think Kirby got it right. I think Stetson Bennett, and it just comes down to the fact that, Shane, Georgia's defense is so damn good, and, we keep teasing it. We'll get to Alabama here in a second, but they're playing so average. Do we really got confidence that Alabama or anybody is going to score 20, 28 points on Georgia? Because I don't. So why in the hell would we blow this thing up? I mean, if JT Daniels is 100% healthy, I probably would play him. But he looked either banged up or rusty or something. I don't know. He just didn't look that good, I didn't think, against Missouri. He didn't look terrible, but Stetson back there was dropping dimes, and the offense seems to have really just found its footing with Stetson at quarterback. Of course, he can run around. JT Daniels can't, so that gives you a little something there. But I don't know. I just don't think Georgia's going to get tested based on what we've seen.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's one. If you've listened to this podcast, obviously you have. I have been screaming at the top of my lungs to get Mr. Daniels in here, and that's exactly what they did. Mike, did he look good? He looked all right. He looked as good as I was hoping he'd just come out there and seize the day, but obviously that didn't happen. But it's been a while since he's been out there, so a rusty game is to be expected. Now, the mailman, on the other hand, like you said, that there was a moment in this game I was like, wait, what's going on here? I'm trying to wait. Why are they not able to run against Missouri? That's one of the things I couldn't get my head around. And then that fourth down dime, he throws back at the end. So I'm like, who the hell threw that? I thought Daniel snuck in there, but man, you're right, man. I think Kirby's, he knows what he's doing. All right. I'm going to go easy on him now. But what I did like, Mike, was the aggressive play calling. They didn't just rely on this offensive line. They didn't just rely on these running backs and the defense and the boring old. They took chances in this game, Mike. They put 43 points on the board. That's exactly what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to score in these games, some of these games you got coming up. And it feels like they're still working on that. So, yeah, it wasn't an ideal start for the Bulldogs, but once they got going, there was no slowing this machine down.
Yeah, and we say it wasn't ideal, and I don't think it was. But, Shay, first possession, they punted. Missouri actually took the lead 3-0, and then Georgia went touchdown, field goal, touchdown. And we're sitting here saying, well, it was a slow start. But that's how damn good Georgia is. Like we thought, we were like 40-point favorites. This is going to be a 60-3 type ball game, and they win it 43-6, which is basically anything and everything you could want in an SEC conference game, as bad as Missouri is. I didn't understand what Drinkowitz was doing with his quarterbacks. I mean, Macon came out and got the start. He looked solid, and then they put in Brady Cook in the third series, and that's always a series where if a coach is going to get the other guy in, it's always the third one. But Macon was doing well. I didn't like that, and certainly that didn't cost them the game against Georgia Bulldogs. But I don't know. I would have given it to him. Maybe I would just let him ride with it until they got stopped again.
And he could run, I don't know. It just seems like they just gave up on that. There was some momentum on that side. Don't get me wrong. Mizzou came out to play, brother. The defense and offense. They did. I know we looked at the stats, and Georgia, of course, got some points, but it was the best start of a game that I is more than I would expect going into this thing. So I was impressed there. But I will say, Mike, Georgia looks fantastic. And every year, there's a lot of years Georgia looks fantastic. And as an outsider, you're always like, okay, yeah, but when do they screw up? It's usually not a game like this, but there's usually a game that pops up or two games during the season that they were supposed to win and they ended up dropping. We keep waiting for that moment. So I'm watching the first of this drive and I'm like, oh, maybe it's Mizzou. But then you're like, nah, it's not going to be Mizzou, because then they just opened up the floodgates. So that's what I like, is the fact that we're getting consistent results. We're not getting those close games. And if they keep playing that way, they expect to win that way every single week. So I don't know, Mike. It's tough for me to say anybody's even close to Georgia right now because that's how good they look.
Yeah, just the way college football's going, man. Everybody has their moments except for the Georgia Bulldogs. They look like the team of destiny at this point.
That's right. That's me setting up a trap game. All right.
Kirby, a lot of receivers got targets and had big plays. Does it, even with Dom and George not back yet, Justin, does it feel like receivers are kind of rounding into form at this point in the season?
Yeah, I thought this game was the closest. I thought, Arian had a full week. We met on Monday, said you're getting your full quota. You got to go. You got to get your reps to be able to play. Jermaine, hey, you're getting your full reps. Coming off Florida, I felt like they were both healthy Florida, but they weren't healthy the week of practice. And I feel like they were both healthy this week of practice, which helped us from a depth standpoint to be able to rep. Ladd got to share reps, so he didn't have to take the burden. JJ Kieras, AD, and when we were fully healthy at receiver, excluding George and Dom, we have a good unit. With George and Dom, then that's what we thought going into the season it would be special. But we're working to try to get those guys back. And I thought the perimeter this week, I was so much. That touchdown by Jermaine Burton. Nobody talks about it. Kieras goes out and throws a great block. And so did AD to get Jermaine untouched into the end zone. That to me is the ultimate sign of selflessness at receiver.
Kirby, obviously you haven't seen the tape, but going back and seeing what you saw today from JT, what were your initial impressions of his return to the field?
I know he did a nice job while he wasn't in the game. He was over by me calling out the defenses, the checks, going through them like he was playing the game, and to hear him call out the coverages and the checks and know exactly what he's planning on going to, it was really good. It gives you a lot of confidence in him when he's over there making those and talking to Stetson when he comes off the field. I thought he had really good command of the offense when he went in. He's got great poise in the pocket. Did a tremendous job. Got a little unfortunate on the tip ball, a little off on Jermaine, and then hit Jermaine in the hands, and then it bounced off and ricocheted to end up being a pick.
Hey, Kirby, earlier in your press conference, you used the word subpar to describe, how the team played today, and yet you guys still come out with a 37-point win. What does that say about where this team is to where it's certainly not your best day, but you're still able to get a very quality win over an SEC East opponent?
I don't know what it says. It says that the players on our team certainly felt that way because it was addressed in the locker room after the game, and some of those guys stood up and didn't feel like it was our best effort, and it was a little lackadaisical at times, but some of that was more defensive than offensive, in my opinion. We didn't run the ball the way we wanted to, but we were explosive.
Eli, the quarterback plan, was it to kind of a scripted rotation throughout? Would you go with the hot hand if you felt like somebody was coming off of a good drive, or how'd you go about that?
Yeah. Excuse me. I mean, we told them both they were going to play, and I thought Mako had, the first couple drives, and Brady had a couple of drives, and just trying to see if one of them could really spark us and sustain it. Both of them did some good things.
Hey, Coach, curious, what was your message to your team in the locker room after this game?
Yeah, basically the same thing I told y'all. I was proud of their effort, but we got to play cleaner. We got a 3-game season left, and our backs are against the wall. We need everybody pushing in the same direction to try to get this thing to a bowl game, and that's what our total focus is, and that's what everybody's got to do. They got to flush this one, and we got to show up tomorrow ready to go to work and do everything we can to get ready for South Carolina.